This is Cronkite News.
Several states are reporting alarming new coronavirus numbers as the U.S. breaks single-day record of cases at least 9 times in a month. We'll tell you where Arizona stands. Plus, civil rights legend John Lewis passed away. How people in Arizona are mourning his loss and making sure his legacy lives on. And several NFL players are speaking about their safety concerns as training camps get underway during the coronavirus pandemic.
Cronkite News starts now.
Welcome to this Cronkite News Update. I'm KEENEHAN. The United States could see more than 157,000 deaths due to the coronavirus by the end of the first week of August. That's the latest projection, just released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The prediction from the CDC pulls together 24 individual forecasts made by outside groups and researchers. It gives a range of nearly 150,000 deaths to up to more than 168,000. The CDC also predicts states like Arizona, Florida, Oklahoma, and Texas to record higher numbers of fatalities in the coming weeks. Monday morning, the Arizona Health Department reported over 1,500 new coronavirus cases and 23 more deaths. That brought the state's total to over 145,000 COVID-19 cases and over 2,700 fatalities. As COVID-19 surges across the country, some states, labs, and public health departments are warning that turnaround times for diagnostic testing have slowed. Now, the director of the National Institutes for Health says that the testing delays are undercutting their usefulness.
The average test delay is too long. You're absolutely right. It averages around the country, it's about 3 days, but in some places it's as long as a week. And that really undercuts the value of the testing, because you do the testing to find out who's carrying the virus and then quickly get them isolated so they don't spread it around. And it's very hard to make that work when there's a long delay built in.
Arizona is one of the states reporting 3-week test result delays. Major diagnostic companies said earlier this month that the growing demand for tests has increased average wait times, despite federal efforts to support testing in some cities and regions. Right now, Arizona is partnering with Hanes to provide 2 million cloth masks to those in vulnerable populations. Adults 65 and older and those with medical conditions can request masks by going to AZDHS.GOV. Orders are limited to 1 per household, with delivery expected to take between 2 and 4 weeks. The valley may see some monsoon action this week. The forecast shows some light sprinkles expected overnight and into Tuesday morning. But our best chances for monsoon storms will be from Wednesday through Saturday. And as monsoon moisture rises, temperatures will fall into the low 100s starting on Friday. American civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis died on Friday at the age of 80. Jacob Holter shows us how people here in Arizona are reacting to his passing.
Former U.S. Representative and civil rights leader John Lewis died last Friday at the age of 80 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. The Georgia congressman was one of the Big Six leaders who played a key role in organizing the 1963 March on Washington. Lewis was also one of the original Freedom Riders. Roy Tatum Jr., president of the East Valley NAACP, reflects on his experiences with Representative Lewis.
I've had the honor and pleasure of meeting John Lewis a number of times, whether it was Congressional Black Caucus events or fraternity events, on the campaign trail. John Lewis is an example to many young people of transferring their energy from organizing in the streets and marching in the streets to getting politically engaged, politically involved, running for political office. John Lewis is the blueprint for us on that track. And so we honor John Lewis. We've celebrated John Lewis while he was alive, and we celebrate him in his passing.
Congressman Raul Grijalva remembers how in his first days in Congress, John Lewis was someone who was incredibly warm and helpful to him.
You know, when I first came to Congress 17 plus years ago, one of the people that reached out to me, one of the colleagues that reached out to me was John Lewis. And of course I knew who John Lewis was. And so I was surprised and wanted to meet with me. If there's anything my staff can do to help you make the transition. I mean, going above and beyond was John Lewis.
Deborah Colbert leads the Black Mothers Forum and has revered John Lewis since she was 10 years old. She considers him to be a shining example of perseverance and advocacy for civil rights.
John Lewis was an icon and a true example in terms of the civil rights movement. He's always left us with a resilience, the need to keep pressing on. So my family, myself, I've been involved in civil rights and equality for over 50 years at this point. So it means to me that I have to stay the course.
Since his passing, many have called on the Senate to restore the Voting Rights Act in honor of Representative Lewis, as well as renaming the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama for him. In 1965, civil rights marchers headed to the state capitol were stopped and beaten by state troopers and posse members. Lewis, one of the leaders, suffered a skull fracture. Jay Coulter, Cronkite News.
Funeral arrangements for Representative Lewis are still in the works as COVID-19 proves to be a complication. Many hope Lewis can lie in state in the Capitol so that people can pay their respects to him. With a little over 100 days to go until the 2020 election, former Vice President Joe Biden is leading President Donald Trump by a significant 12-point margin. That's according to a CNN poll of polls released today. Biden garners 52% support among registered voters, with 40% supporting Trump. The poll of polls includes the 5 most recent national telephone polls measuring the views of registered voters. Prominent players around the NFL organized a social media blitz on Sunday, addressing how the league is tackling COVID-19. They used the hashtag #WeWantToPlayOn to address their concerns. With training camp slated to begin on July 28th, there are still many questions about the game plan, especially when it comes to prioritizing players' health. Executive VP of Football Operations for the NFL sent out a memo to GMs and coaches updating the dates players report to camp. Rookies will be reporting tomorrow, followed by QBs and other injured players on July 23rd. All other players will report July 28th. Players across the league, including former Cardinals player David Johnson, tweeted a detailed description of the information they currently have regarding health protocols. According to the tweet, players, quote, have not received the proper acclimation period necessary as recommended by medical and training staffs.
You talk to people, everyone has a different stance. You know, some guys are more cautious of it. You know, my wife is diabetic, so I have to be very cautious, you know, because she's high risk. You know, so that I have to take things into account like that. You know, some guys live with their elderly mother, so they have to take things into account like that, and they're more cautious of it. Some guys, you know, I mean, they're single guys, and it's just them and the dog at the home. So they're like, we're ready to play ball. It's a little different stance, you know. So it's everyone has a different opinion on it. This is gonna be a weird season of sports, let alone football.
According to the NFLPA, there are currently 65 players with known positive COVID-19 tests as of July 17th. Here are 3 more top sports stories we're tracking today. First, NASCAR held its 18th race of the season this weekend, allowing 50% of the stadium to be sold. However, the fans only filled it to about 15%. This comes as Texas is one of many states in the South and the Southwest to continue seeing rising coronavirus cases and deaths. Most of the fans weren't too worried, though. Here are their reactions.
It is real, but I think the hype is overblown. I'm really not worried about it. It's probably, to me, just I'm not used to big crowds, so just the crowd itself probably makes me more nervous than the coronavirus.
Feel secure and safe. Think everything's good. I'm not going to stop my life because of this going on. We'll do what we have to.
I'm very excited. I am a little nervous about what the crowd's going to be like, but I'm excited to be able to see it again.
Second, the Diamondbacks faced off against another squad for the first time in 132 days on Sunday, losing to the Los Angeles Dodgers in an exhibition game at the Dodgers Stadium. Social distancing was in full effect as the D-backs took 4 buses straight from the airport and the broadcast team was situated here in Phoenix. Ketel Marte slapped a solo shot to the right field to start the game off, but the Snakes didn't produce much after going down against the Dodgers 9-2. Third, ASU alumni Jon Rahm is the #1 ranked golfer in the world. After winning the Memorial in Ohio on Sunday, Rahm took the top spot. That makes him the 2nd Spaniard to ever do so, alongside his idol, Seve Ballesteros. It wasn't without drama though. He bungled an 8-stroke lead halfway through the round into 3 strokes with only 3 holes left, but pulled it out in the end. That's it for this edition of Cronkite News. For more Arizona news updates throughout the day, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.